I do have a question for two of the candidates. I have a question for Wilbur, and then I have a question for Dream.
Oh boy.
So with Wilbur, my issue with having a general, not a general, having free housing in New Melody, even if you don't have to be a citizen, is this not a way to influence them to join New Melody? Because then that's their first impression. They just woke up, that's their first impression. You welcome them with open arms, which is great, but you are influencing their decision, and it's like some people may choose to be in New Melody without even exploring the rest of the world, which is why I think the idea of a general area is a lot more better, because then influences are not controlling biases or decisions.
Okay, so I'm not. I wouldn't say. Sorry. Okay. I wouldn't say that I'm being. I would influence people into joining New Melody. It would never be something I would bring up on their first day. Also, these are like grown, level-headed people who can make a decision for themselves, so they have time to explore the rest of the world before I even pitch it to them. Sorry. Yeah. So it's something that I would pitch later on.
So you would pitch it at the end of the day. And
no,
also
no,
my
no,
point,
on
my
a different
point,
day after they could explore.
my main point was that it's a subconscious push to that direction.
Okay. Well, couldn't you argue that if a a Federation representative doing the same thing would influence them into thinking the Federation is good?
Well, yeah, but we're here against. I wouldn't use the word hidden influence for yourself in this scenario.
I didn't use it for myself. I used it for the Federation, but I'm using it for me. But okay.
I just don't think it's. I believe it comes with the right intentions, but I believe that with something like the Federation, that is not in our control. To put us, our level, to next to the Federation,
in our control.
Federation propaganda is far different from New Melody propaganda. I just think there is a subconscious and unintentional push to make people be a citizen in New Melody, and in some way I can respect it because it's like almost like a business thing. But
yeah, I mean, I'm more than willing to have a more communal area, but that was what New Melody was meant to be.
I personally, you said that you welcomed and walked people around. I was never walked around. I know plenty of other people
show up.
Dare I say me neither?
When did you and Iohuan show up?
Less than 3 months ago.
Okay. Yeah. So as of recent times, it depends on when it was, because before, what day was it? I don't remember. Before the 6th of something.
June 6th.
I was welcoming. After that, I was dead. So you need to give me time on that. So I'm not sure when it was.
I was here before you died, Wilbur.
Okay, then I'm not sure, because it was probably. I'm not sure. I can apologize.
You've been very busy.
A lot of people have experienced the opposite. So I'm sorry that you yourself didn't get.
Well, it's not myself. It's
okay.
It's plenty of others.
Anyway, but one is who I've heard of, really. But okay.
And then with Dream, what made you be a candidate? Is this not last minute? I feel like everyone can agree that this is last minute. Not that I'm against it. I'm all for it.
I realized that I've already been helping residents a lot, so if ever given the chance to, why not help more? Why not get into a position where I can help even more than I already have been?
Okay, I like that. I suppose it is a little bit of an oddball pick for me, but maybe that's simply because I don't know you.
Yeah.
And, we're friends. We can get to know each other.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
So I did want to go back to the point of should the children be able to vote, because I did want to address that not all of the children are dragons. And because of that, it's hard to classify all of them in one sector regarding which one of them are mature enough to vote and which ones aren't. Like Quackity said, we don't have enough information on their development and their brain's development and if they're educated enough to make that kind of decision. But, for example, my own children that are under 18, I don't want any of them voting in an election for adults. They are not educated enough for that decision, and as we've seen from a few decisions made by the children, including the others that are dragons, some of them make decisions without thinking of future consequences. We've had a few instances of the children running away before, and it was a struggle for the adults to handle, and it usually did not end well, but it was a repeated matter. And this isn't a jab at the kids, we were all very worried, obviously, and we didn't want it to happen again because it wasn't safe for them. But if they can make that kind of decision multiple times without thinking through the consequences of what could happen to them or others, then how can we let them vote for the adults? But also, I did have a point for Wilbur that I wanted to ask regarding New Melody. So, regarding housing, and regarding being allowed housing in New Melody, it's something that is offered and it can be appreciated for people that are newly showing up, especially if they don't have any sort of direction, because New Melody is sort of the only, the only functioning nation at this time as a landmark in Eden. So it's a good talking point when you first get here. But there are some things that I feel like should be discussed regarding the laws of New Melody that were discussed when Wilbur regained his presidency before, that tons of people were there to witness during Vegeta's speech. Citizenship laws that we were not told about until they were brought up.
Which ones?
I'll be right back.
If you are given citizenship in New Melody, it cannot be revoked unless it is by the president. If you are a citizen of New Melody, you are tied to that,
Thank you.
unless you revoke it personally.
Okay. That's interesting. That wasn't intentional. That was purely just where is that written?
Well, Vegeta couldn't revoke his presidency, or his vice presidency. Quackity
Yeah, he
had
could.
to
He's not
be-
vice president
Missing
anymore.
him.
He's not anymore
So
because you
okay,
have the new vice
I'll
president.
talk about I'll talk about the miscommunication we've had there that I tried to talk with you but you refused. With Vegeta, the day I came back, I was still president as it was written as I would be because I wasn't expecting to come back. However, Vegeta tried to resign right then and there. All I asked of him was that he gave me some time to find a replacement before he resigned, which I did, and now he's resigned. I feel like that's not a control sort of thing. That's more of a keeping things running kind of thing. If people look at New Melody and see I don't have a vice president, that is that is a very bad look. All I wanted to do was find time to find a new vice president, which I did. I sent out applications. I chose a vice president. Everything was fine. Vegeta no longer works for New Melody. That problem was solved, and
Can we go back to the citizenship? Because during Vegeta's vice presidency, he found out that there was a law written in there that he was not even aware of as the vice president, that the president would need to revoke citizenship. Therefore, it needs to
Okay.
be done for Quackity.
Let me find. Let me pull up the law really quick because this is a law that everybody read and signed, who are citizens. Yeah. So the citizenship says that if your citizenship is to be revoked by the president, then that's final. It doesn't mention anything to do with revoking it yourself. But that's not a control trip. That is a. So citizenship forms are sent to the Federation, and then the Federation have to keep on top of it every time. If people just lost their citizenship and just like mentioned it fleetingly, I wouldn't be able to keep up with the documentation, so it has to be a process they have to ask. Which is why I have to revoke it myself, is because if I didn't, then the forms of the Federation would be all over the place. It's not a control trip. It's not something that I'm like, you have to stay in New Melody. It's so somebody has to come to me and mention that they want to depart from New Melody, and then I can go through the process of removing them via talking to the Federation, which we know takes time because the Federation aren't always available, especially with the anchors going down quite a lot. It's not a control trip. It wasn't meant to appear that way, and I'm sorry you think little of me in that way.
And I have a follow-up of, would you be able to continue your presidency in New Melody and also the Federation? Or would that be a conflict of interest?
I would. So I want to go back to. I didn't read my opening point. Let me find it. Hold on. I wrote an add-on. Let me find it really quickly. Okay, yeah. So adding on to me being part of New Melody, being the president of New Melody, why am I here because of it? Why isn't New Melody enough? So New Melody is a gated place. It's walled. It's land, but that means nothing. New Melody isn't the dream that I have. New Melody as a nation isn't what I want. I want what it stands for everyone. And I'm pretty sure everyone wants the same thing. Schlatt became a citizen recently because he realized that there was nothing faulting it. With citizenship, all you gain is protection from the Federation. As resident president, I don't need to give people protection for the Federation in a separate area. That can be for everywhere. New Melody is a mutual partnership between the Federation and the residents to ensure safety among both of them. That's all it is. That's the only rule we have out. And that's the only thing you gain with citizenship. There is nothing faulting that. Everything else is just more safety laws that the Federation already have, but I've re-put in place. So, as being partnered with both of them, it would just increase the safety on all of the land rather than just a small area. The only reason New Melody is an area and is walled off and is small is because that made it more plausible to the Federation as a country, as they wouldn't let me just put things in place and agreements in place with no status and no reasoning, no people stood beside me. So I would take both positions, but both positions would be the same position in the end because resident president is bridging the gap between residents and Federation, and that's exactly what New Melody is doing.
Good point. Can I have a question regarding that with the Federation representative?
Yeah.
If Wilbur were to win the election, would he be able to keep both titles, or would they be combined? Would the Federation still honor him as president of New Melody?
He would be able to keep both titles. However, as stated in the initial announcement that was released to candidates before you all applied for the initial form, I'll read it out. If placed into the role of Federation President, the individual must stay loyal to this role and cannot let exterior positions of power influence their final decision. They cannot use this role to influence their own personal power. If they want to lose the title... Oh, if they were to lose the title or are involved with separate settlements, they cannot use this role to influence the status or importance of any other nation or settlement on Eden. He would still hold both titles, but he would need to personally separate them. He wouldn't be able to use the role of resident president to influence anything to do with New Melody, and Federation representatives in a higher rank than him, because although the Federation president ranks above faceless workers, Cucurucho and other Census Bureau or Federation representatives will rank above him, and they will ensure that the Federation president won't use this role to influence their own personal gain, if that offers any comfort.
It does, and that's very good to know and remember, and I appreciate you repeating it.
Don't worry, yes.
And then my other counterpoint that I also wanted to bring up for any of the candidates to branch off of is regarding the entity attacks. Like Quackity already mentioned that they will move, they will adapt. It's not something that we can directly prepare for with materials or a place to go to. So, how many people here have been in an entity attack fighting? Actively,
Me.
mobs.
Me.
Oh, fighting. I don't know.
I've jumped into absolute hordes of corrupted champions. Just to help
So-
people.
For most people, is it just hitting the mobs with a weapon until they die?
Not
No,
really.
no,
No.
it's hitting the mobs and people who fall. You have to keep in mind, people who fall, you have to res them. It's a lot.
It's
You have to
hitting the
double
mobs.
four things.
Mhm.
You need to make sure they're not being kidnapped by one of the randomized entities as
Mhm.
well.
Exactly. Kids
Yeah.
get taken. The other day I heard Juan Yo actually asked to be taken.
Oh
So
my
it's-
gosh.
A lot of good things to have.
It was a beautiful
A
moment.
lot of like important things to have to keep track of at the same time. So
Yes.
and it's unpredictable. We can't predict what mobs are going to be spawned, who's going to be taken, what's going to be happening. So it's not really something that we can just prepare for with a set plan of anything, because it'll just adapt and then it's gone. So if there's one thing we know with most entity attacks, it's that there's mobs that we have to fight. We've got to hit them until they die. We've got to revive people. We've got to keep an eye on everyone. But what if we set time aside for combat training that isn't just hitting with something until it dies? I personally have gone out with some of the case mobs I've had from entity attacks and used different methods to try and see how easy it is to kill them. We could stock up on potions because I try to give the kids speed potions during the things, so if they don't have anything else, they can run. There's different weaponry that works better for certain things if you don't know how to crit, if you need better attack speed, if there's certain things you need for this, because if there's one thing that maybe we can try and predict, it's the combat. So if Quackity were to get this position of power, it would be most likely that Islanders will learn how to properly fight and defend themselves. So if all else fails, they know more than just hitting something with a weapon. Some people here don't even know how to crit.
Can I make a point?
Go ahead, this is open.
I think that the training people into being able to fight better is good for personal gain for themselves. However, if we get stronger with weaponry, if we get stronger with potions, who's to tell that the entities won't give up on mobs and just make us kill each other, which they have done before? The mobs are a blessing, and if we get too strong for the mobs, they'll just kill us different ways.
So how do you suggest a counterpoint for adapting to this? Because I heard a lot of safe haven, better gear.
I don't think that works because we've tried these things, and the stronger we get, the more annoyed the entities get, and then the more pain we end up being in. The entities, they can be bargained with. I think they're so unpredictable, and the Federation don't take them seriously. So I think it's partially something the Federation has to do, which I guess could branch off from the job title. But the entities can be bargained with. I've bargained with the main one, the entity, the mob spawning guy, into not harming Talene for a very small price, which was just getting one of Talene's absent parents to remember to prove that he cared about the kid. That was it. These entities can be bargained with, but if you don't try, then they won't bargain with you. I've seen people do successful bargains all the time for people's lives, for things, for other things, for, I bargained to, I've bargained multiple times with these entities. People don't do that. People
I've
just
had experience of a personal bargain that was twisted and not given as stated. So how can we handle bargains that are given that people don't read the full terms to or accept everything that can be? Because I've had a deal that was not given to me directly, but I know of, that seemed like it would work out, and then was, how do I say, manipulated. It wasn't as promised.
Then I think whoever is the president becomes the president should be the one making the deals for everyone. And like, for example, making a deal against the entity coming back and harming us, stuff like that. Not the mobs thing, because if we keep the mobs thing that keeps them entertained, that's what they want, I assume. But if we make it so they can't make us turn against each other with a deal or something, I feel like the resident president should handle that. And if the president is somebody who can't read the fine print, then I don't think they should be president.
I respect this point. Anyone else?
I want to say something, but it's really from far. Like, it happened 20 minutes ago. But I do want to say something about what Mr. Rubio said and something about what Wilbur said. I'm going to start with Wilbur because it's really short. Like, it's dead as I'm just asking. When you said the thing about Quackity, Jaishla being a citizen of New Melody because he realized there's nothing wrong with it. You left out that you low-key didn't let him put anything up in the walls. Like he was trying to put up his presidency campaign. He was trying to ask you about it. He was like being low-key nicer than he should be. To put one poster up, and you did not let him until he became a citizen. I understand you have past experiences with him, but in this you should at least be a bias because you know everyone knows New Melody. Everyone goes to New Melody, and being the poster being there is really beneficial for him. You know,
It is beneficial to him. I have witnessed Jay Schlatt as president, and I do not want to slander him here on this stage because I'm not allowed to. So I will not say anything about his past or his past experiences or his past as president. However, his past as president have not been positive experiences and ended in his death and every single person who had voted for him watching him die and being happy about it. That's all I'll say because it's a fact. It's not slander, it's a fact. And the reason I didn't let him put posters up is because I do not want him to gain that position again. Everybody else, I said free game. Quackity, I've been rivals with him for as long as I can think of. Yourself, I don't know your intentions. Screen, I don't know his intentions either, and I let them put their posters up. So with Jay Schlatt, I know that him as president is dangerous. So I didn't want to put people like my children in that danger, so I decided to not let him put posters up. The only reason I agreed on it upon him being a citizen is because he gets something, I get something. The citizenship, I gain somebody who the Federation like. The Federation already liked Jay Schlatt. He's already on their side as he got exempt from the entity tax. And because the Federation like him standing with New Melody is a good look for me and will help in future agreements with Cucurucho, for example. It's a numbers thing. If the numbers go up and the people gain more, the people with respect from the Federation are citizens of New Melody, I'm taken more seriously. That's why it was a you gain something, I gain something sort of thing. But I don't think Schlatt is a very good candidate, hence why I didn't let him put the posters up, but that is the entire reason why.
Okay, my bad, but don't you think that's a little bit unfair for him? I mean, I did talk to him. Like, I did speak with him. I mingle with the man, sadly, and he really is taking this seriously. I don't know his past, and I agree maybe he's not the best candidate. I am, guys. No, my bad. He's not the best candidate, maybe, but you know, putting a poster up is not gonna win him any votes. If he's already disliked, it's not gonna win him any votes, and it feels a little bit unfair for him because he is an islander, and we're supposed to be fighting for the people. If you have a past experience with someone, you should let it be the past. You can have your own opinion and then speak to people, maybe like, hey, he's not a really good guy. I know the posters is up, blah, blah, blah. He's a bad guy. But I don't think you should stop someone from something everyone is doing. You don't even know me. You don't know my intentions. They are good, but you don't know my intentions. Imagine I am the next Lat, which I will not be because I'm not that old, okay? But you did not stop me. You don't know me. And it is fair that you didn't stop me because everyone gets a chance to show their little poster that they made. I feel like it's a little bit unfair for him, but that's just my opinion. That's my opinion, guys.
Another fact I'll put out here. Schlatt, on his first presidential election, went up against myself, and he rigged the votes and won that way. So I would also say that's unfair. Would everybody who knew Schlatt before like put their hands up if they believe he's a good person? Now could everybody who knew Schlatt before put their hands up?
Need to find it. Hey!
I'll put both of them
It's
up.
an open discussion.
My manager
My hands
hands
are
are up.
Yep. Oh, he's free!
Manager, you're free to talk?
You know?
Okay.
Hit blood might be calling,
Really?
but you know
Hit
what?
blood.
I'm not considering the past for people in this election. That's not what I'm saying. I have no problem with Schlatt running if he wants to run because if people think he's a good president, then people think he's a good president. The only thing I considered past for and personal quarrels with is when it came to my country and what I wanted classes on the walls, and it wasn't Schlatt's campaign.
Okay.
I
Again,
say
but his
that
past of rigging votes.
I don't really care about Schlatt being able to hang posters. I don't care about that. I think my issue is that everyone here is shaming and villainizing Schlatt, and perhaps he was a villain. I've only heard
not villainizing.
his side, but I find it hard to believe that every candidate here has not done something horrendous.
No, I'm not
I've
saying
heard
that.
plenty of stories of everybody here, most of them bad.
Agreed.
And I would say it's almost the equivalent of Schlatt's level, but yet we are not giving him that same grace. And trust me, I don't like the guy. He is very clingy,
He is.
incredibly clingy, and he does not stop talking. But I think, like, I'm tired of seeing people on the stage stand up and look at you guys, the audience, as if they are better or like they haven't done anything wrong. I've heard plenty, and I'm sure you guys have heard plenty too.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I personally wouldn't say that's true because I wasn't going to bring up Schlatt at all or villainize him in any way until I was asked. Again, I wasn't going to say any fact about his past because I didn't say everyone was perfect, although a lot of us have done terrible things here, myself included. We're all not perfect. Again, I have no problem with Schlatt running because if people think he's a good president, then people think he's a good president. I have no problem with him running here. The only thing I had against him was him putting up posters that benefit his publicity in my nation when he removed me from my original one. That is the only thing I stopped him from. I wasn't going to villainize him on the stage. I wasn't going to say anything about his past, but I was asked. And that's the only reason I did.
I said okay. So, are we good with this one? Because I do have a question for Rubius. Hottie over there. Mister.
Okay.
Okay. No, but that ass. Okay. I heard you. You said the kids about the kids voting. I said yes. Big yes, actually. And I understand not every child is mature enough to have an informed decision, but the same can be said for us. Dare I say I am not the smartest. Okay. I am not always here, and I have the ability to vote. You know, I can vote, and most of the kids are more smart than half of us. Yes, they might not be mature, but I feel like most of them are. Like they're directly affected by the decisions we make. So I feel like it's okay to make them feel like they have not feel, but give them a little bit of a voice. It doesn't need to be a full-on vote. I can agree on that, but they need to have a voice, even if you assume most of them don't have the mature brain for it. Add into that, I don't think, which I've not experienced it. Okay, I don't think running away automatically makes a child immature. That's just my opinion. Sometimes leaving dangerous situations is the safest thing to do, or sometimes just they don't feel like they're welcomed in the family, and that's okay. But I wouldn't put that as an immature thing to do. Most of the time they're mature. Most of the time they're running away because they want to protect themselves, or they just feel like it's a survival instinct and they can't help it. That's in my opinion. That's gonna it. I hate fighting.
I am listening to you, and I have points for this. So regarding the children, this does also somewhat fall under the jurisdiction of their parents. Regarding their maturity, and also giving them, I agree heavily with giving them a voice regarding the elections, even if it's not a full vote. I love the idea of also still giving them some sort of impact in this, even if it's not the same as a vote. The children can still be talked to about this, but I'm not sure giving them an actual vote in this election would be safe for them. And as a father of 3 kids, and of kids who, I have experience with children running away. And I don't think it's an immature thing on its own. I respect it, and I understand that kids also need time. It's not always a thing of, it's immature, and they're running away from their issues, and it's something to be shamed. I never meant it in that sort of way. I meant it as more of, it was understandable when it first occurred with some of the children, but as it became more and more of a repeated thing after, the children witnessed the adults in their stress and in their upset, that it just felt, unfair. Because
I that the kids that ran away were also viciously attacked by entities. The first time my daughter died because she had ran away, and the kids knew that. They were all there to witness it, and they further continued to run away. Teen, my son, ran away as well after that, and he was also attacked. I'm not going to disclose anything else, but it was a difficult time to make sure that he was safe, and I had to go to extreme measures to make sure that he was safe. But that's kind of proving a cycle here on Eden, that if you run away, it's not safe alone, and the kids continue to run off and be by themselves after seeing what has happened to the other ones.
If we want to grow a community here of people who trust and want to work with each other, we need to understand that decisions such as that cannot lead to better things in the future. I'm not saying that children can't take time for themselves or space away, but they also need to understand that their parents and parent adjacent figures in their lives are here to try and protect them with all they have. And it was more of an example being used regarding decisions that aren't quite thought of all the way through, because it's more of a temporary solution that some of them will think will benefit them, and they don't fully think it through. If they have that sort of mindset for making decisions with temporary happiness or satisfaction in mind, it's not going to end well for a presidential candidate. It'll be, like I said, easily impressionable on them, and other candidates may take advantage of that in order to ensure their presidency.
Okay. I'll follow that.
If I may say something as well, actually, I do agree with you entirely, Ruby, as well. I also think Spring's idea was actually pretty genius. Holding a thing for them to vote, but not count it as
I agree heavily with that.
I think it'd be good for them.
I think it's a perfect idea.
I feel
it'd
like
be a good growing experience for them too.
I feel like for something like this, we are overcomplicating it. We all collectively agree, even if you say yes, we all collectively agree that the kids' opinions can be easily influenced. They're impressionable, whatever. So at the end of the day, we can just make the votes not count. But the point of the experience, the whole point is to provide that experience to the children. Because not only do we get to see what they think, but it can honestly help us. They are just as involved as we are, and to ignore them is just not the right thing to do. We all can agree on
I agree.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
Amen. Okay,
Good point.
I'm good.
Is there anything else you want to ask? Johan?
You single? I'm assuming not. Okay. Then no, I don't got anything else.
This is not a dating show. This is a
Yes, yes, my bad.
position.
Yes, sir.
I have something I'd like to bring up with everybody here. The question that was asked about ensuring resident safety, everybody quickly jumped to just say what they would do to target entity attacks. Well, yes, these are a major issue on the island right now. I didn't really hear anything from anyone on what they would do if it was resident and resident conflict. If somebody had any fights, I'd like to, one of our other residents, I'm not going to mention names exactly, but one of our residents was murdered by another, and nothing was really done. I mean, it was solved now due to the Federation, but I don't want to have any other situations where people are just walking free for their crimes, and I didn't really hear anybody bring up anything about this. I didn't hear, it was just entity attacks. So my question for you guys is about that.
Was this the first question?
I did speak about a little bit of that. I did not go deeply into it because I don't like yapping, but I did say I think it was most of it. The first thing I said was give everyone a good hit to defend themselves from attacks and other resident, because I've been in many people, many people have been attacking me, and I don't have the means to defend myself. And I'm not saying stop it because I don't care, but I did agree on looking more into resident to resident type of attacks instead of the entity, because at the end of the day, the entity, we can't low-key stop it. It's something that's gonna we're gonna have to deal with it, but we can stop resident versus resident type of conflict, you know. And I do agree with that. Like I just want to point out I did say that. So
I would also say that in my initial introduction, I said that ways to I am basically implied solving resident-to-resident issues. We as people are supposed to be together. I offered ideas like therapist, which is something that is introduced within my own clique, my own group. And although I don't really believe therapy as a source for myself, but it did happen last night, and I would say it was productive, and that was people helping people on people crime. Slime was a witness. Yeah, that's true.
I also wanted to bring up something on behalf of Quacky's campaign regarding this as well. Is under Quacky's presidency, should he win this election, I think it would be a good step forward to enact something of a more concrete justice system. As someone with experience in this enforcement, a more concrete justice system, most likely bringing a courthouse to light. I know there's already one in New Melody, but that is under New Melody's jurisdiction, and I think a general one would be beneficial as well for not handling things immediately with violence. Trying to give people a chance to talk about their experiences, to actually have a unbiased decision made regarding consequences and how severe they should be for certain offenses. An actual set list and understanding of, if you do this, this is what will happen.
I agree on that. I was going to mention
No disagreements there.
courthouse. I was going to mention a courthouse for general public as well, as there's lawyers on this island. Quacky's a great one, I heard.
I'm one
but
too.
Keeping non-bias would be also important. And I already have a court system set up. I know it's not even specifically to New Melody. It would just be, the system would be so there would be a Federation representative at all times. So it could be monitored by more than one person. And then there would be a court, and then there would be the president. It would be the resident president in this scenario, and then witnesses, like as usual. I think a justice system is a really good idea.
We're so good at bouncing from each other. Like we're so good at
We're
it.
so
any
great
takes?
at keeping conversation.
Dream, I haven't heard much of you regarding this debate. Do you have
Yeah, you've
any
been
takes
giggling.
regarding a justice system?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat?
I haven't heard much from you during this debate, and I'm interested to hear more of your takes. Do you have any interest or concerns with the justice system?
I think a justice system would be great. I think there was a kind of the justice system where I'm from, but like it was very flawed. Anyway, I'd love a justice system. We could probably work on a really good one. Honestly, people have been bringing up good points. Everyone here seems to agree on a lot of things.
Yeah, I think a justice system would be
Mostly.
good. Maybe a prison as well. I know there's a
I
very
was
good prison
I was
warden
gonna
around.
mention that. I was gonna ask people's opinions on that because I agree with self-defense and defending yourself if you're attacked, but I also believe that the attacker should not go unpunished, even if it was taken care of by self-defense. I think that a prison system should be set in place to, like I said on my initial campaign, to give people maybe like the slap on the wrist, a start to show that we are taking things seriously and that people committing crimes will not just get away with it anymore.
They've been getting away with it.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, there's been a lot of things residents have been doing to other residents, and they've been getting away from it. Federation hasn't really been doing much about it.
I would ask you though, where are you going to put this prison? Because if I don't agree with it being in a set nation, like I
I'm
Like,
okay with
I-
that.
undisclosed.
I think
Right.
if we are building a general area, like Dream suggested, a general community area where supplies are added, it wouldn't be weird to put that same prison in that area too.
That's fine. Yeah,
That's
either that or continue the Federation facility that they are currently working on. We could further on to building that. It doesn't have to be anywhere specific. It could be somewhere random, but I do think having one would be helpful.
I want to ask quickly, in terms of crimes, how would, this is a question for everybody, how would you tackle crimes that happen during entity attacks?
I think that's an
Resident
entirely
on
different
resident?
scenario.
Resident on resident.
Did they
Um,
do
It
it?
should be taken as
Did you
seriously
witness
as
them?
it would if the
Like-
entity attack wasn't there. If you're attacking someone during an entity attack, which I believe would be when you're supposed to be the most together, be working in unity,
What
and you
if
attack another resident, should be
somebody-
the same.
For example, if somebody was forced to kill another, how would that go? Would intention count? I think intention should be
Yes, intention.
The
focused
thing is
there.
measuring intention.
Yeah, how do you like completely tell what that
Witnesses
person's
and
intention was
attitudes.
properly?
Witnesses and
detector test.
attitude witness and attitude do the kill. You know, how that
Very
person was-
personally, I have found out that many people are not very understanding or can read people very well.
No, I think in terms of justice, people should. It would be unbiased, so it wouldn't be somebody who is against another, but it would have witnesses. So I want to put an example in here. Might not make you look bad, Dream. But I think, intention should be measured based off witnesses and attitude to the kill. Most people do it because they are forced to, and some people do it because they've been given the opportunity to. And I think those people should be punished.
Amen.
Entity attacks also bring out the worst in people. You can't judge someone's intentions solely by what happens during those.
This
They
is
can
what I
give
was
signs.
curious about. I was wondering if people would take it as if it's during an entity attack, it doesn't count, it's voided, or they would look more into it and consider punishing the person at fault.
I think
Not
people
fully
go into
voided,
it. Yeah,
but
because
Yeah,
people
I
go
agree.
into the loophole.
Yeah, I
to
agree.
the system.
I agree with Rubius.
There are ways to measure for certain some things regarding looking into it. I have experience giving lie detector tests. I have a lot of experience regarding interrogation.
Okay,
It's
yes.
it's a very delicate measure to give, but it's something that I have experience in, and Quacky also probably has experience in as a lawyer.
I was just, good. I agree with that. I was just curious to see how people would
It's a
tackle
good
it.
know.
Can I intervene for a second to ask my own question relating to this whole topic going on? You're all talking a lot about what to do in the aftermath, but how, as the president, would you, let's say, if a resident was caught off guard, with or without anchors being up, well, if anchors are down, whether with or not without a entity attack, if a resident has been caught off guard and has potentially been murdered, tortured, whatever, how, as the president, are you going to put in facilities to protect residents from this happening?
Facilities?
Facilities or precautions or just a system if a resident was taken off guard. Like, you can do a lot after it's done. Do any of you have ideas on what to do before the crime is committed? How would you stop the crime being committed?
Yes. I would put a prison in place, like we already discussed, a prison, the justice system, and then I would have a law, just like similar to the insurance and safety law, with
Yes,
the
general laws.
the general laws, because we are very free. It's very free out here. Hence why Numelody exists, because there's too much freedom, so people can just hurt people whenever and nobody cares. So it would just be a general law to say nobody can physically hurt each other, with all the other things like restraint, force, everything else. And then if that isn't followed, then we move further. But that would be the original first stepping stone into stopping it.
I think a holding cell would also be very beneficial
Yes.
for
Yep.
things that are happening at the time.
And furthering that, how are you, for example, we are all aware of cases of residents being misplaced, taken, and coming back with altered memory, altered appearance, altered whatever. How would you penalize someone based on a crime they committed in a different quote-unquote body if they've come back different?
Those
If
are
it's
very
not the same
small
person, I don't
cases.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
if they're not the same person anymore, at that point, does it really even count? Because they don't
Yeah,
remember
I
doing it,
feel
they
like-
wouldn't have done it.
I feel like it's very different for them, because then it really depends on the person, because that doesn't happen very often. I can count maybe a couple times it has happened where somebody has changed entirely and come back completely different, and memories have been altered, whatever, by the Federation. Maybe twice. I can think of 2 people. That's it though. So I think that would be a completely different thing. But we would approach that as it comes to us, and as the crime. It would depend on the crime, depending on who's been hurt by it. But it wouldn't be something that wasn't talked about. We definitely talk about it. We wouldn't just like brush it under the rug. Oh, it's a different person, doesn't matter. It would still have likely a case, because we'd need to prove with a lie detector, like Rubius said, and all of the other precautions he said he'd take, into if that person is genuinely not the person that they used to be, and if they would commit the crime now.
Okay.
Case-to-case basis, and also
Yes.
informing them of the decisions they made, even if they weren't the same person before.
Yes.
I would like to add on to that. With the Federation, I have a question for you.
Yes.
The resident president, what we're all applying for, we are meant to work alongside with the Federation to be the voice of the people and everything like that. How would the Federation help us during this? The Federation has cameras up, everywhere, as we've been proven and it's been told to us. Would the Federation be willing to extend those resources onto us and help us with investigations and whatnot? Because this is, everybody's answers seem to be going based off of what we would know just in general without Federation assistance, but we are supposed to be getting Federation assistance and working together with them, so would resources be provided to us as well if requested?
Yes, I'll explain. I guess the best way to answer that question is to explain your role in the hierarchy very clearly. Faceless workers work on a basis of a rank from S to D, S the highest, and then you're numbered based on where you lie within that letter rank. Workers in the S category and A category, if you're a security guard, they appear as the black vest guards that you've likely seen around. Those workers have full access to guns, different weapons, netherite, anything on a prohibited list that can keep them safe, any camera footage facility, permission to put cameras up, permission to use tasers, and access to the prison, which is currently in construction. Your rank as the resident president would lay above even an S rank faceless worker. Your position in the hierarchy is above a faceless worker. So if you needed access to cameras, to the equipment in order to protect residents, if you needed guns and tasers with good reason, if you wanted to set up your own justice system, your own police force, etc., if you needed stuff like batons, tasers, maybe not guns, those could be provided to you. You could access camera footage. You would have access to place your own criminals into the Federation prison, and you would be able to control the sentence that you see fit. Federation president, you can order faceless workers around. You would be my boss. You have full control over the faceless workers. You would be able to tell guards what to do, even S rank. The only length that stops at is if Kukurucho's word is final. But you would have full access to cameras. You would have full access to any equipment, any lie detectors that the Federation could get sent out to you, any facilities we have, any high-grade prison alongside the one that is on island. You would have full accessibility to that.
Okay, I believe that makes answers to previous questions a lot simpler then, as
Yeah.
we provided more resources.
Very
and
good to
tools.
know. Thank you.
You're welcome, yes. Unless people want to continue debating, we can move on to the resident questions, if that is okay with everyone.
There's cameras everywhere.
Not
Like everywhere, everywhere.
not
Yeah.
everywhere, not everywhere.
I just know
Leo,
it.
look behind you. Look behind you.
Look behind
Oh,
you.
I was
just
looking at it.
not-
Oh.
The cameras were actually a request from residents to place them around the island. They're not everywhere. You won't find one in your house, and I don't believe any.
It's okay,
places
I
have recently- Okay.
Love it.
I want to mention quickly about the cameras before anything gets twisted or
Hi,
changed or
Richard.
altered, that the cameras were asked to be there because the Federation said they had no proof of the entity attacks, and we wanted to prove that by putting cameras up.
This is true,
Wow.
Yes, this is true.
And apparently, even with the cameras, they have no proof.
Wow.
I can think of a good
Cameras
place.
would be a good idea.
places to put the cameras. I'm gonna be honest.
There's cameras all the way around New Melody, which is where the attacks usually happen.
Yes,
Oh, well, not anymore. Now it's happening at Putt Putt.
there was.
Yeah,
there
but
were
still,
compli-
even
They hate
so,
Puppet.
remember, Dream, you weren't here for the worst of it.
Yes, this is true. When the entity attacked in New Melody, there were complications that it doesn't seem to show up on our footage. However, this is a complicated situation that doesn't need to be thoroughly discussed right now.